Every morning, Ella walked by the same small cafe on her way to work. The place had a charm to it: rustic tables, flowers in small vases, and a bell that chimed softly whenever someone entered. But Ella had never actually stopped there. She was always rushing, glancing at her watch, and trying to beat the morning crowd to her office. One rainy day, however, as she hurried past the cafe, the heavens opened up, pouring rain onto the streets in thick sheets. Ella was soaked within moments, her umbrella nearly useless. Looking around for shelter, she saw the cafe's warm lights glowing invitingly through the misty windows. She hesitated, but only for a moment, and then darted inside. The smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries enveloped her instantly, and a sense of comfort washed over her. The barista gave her a warm smile as she approached the counter, her clothes dripping from the rain. "A rainy day special, perhaps?" he asked, gesturing toward a steaming mug of coffee and a freshly baked croissant. She laughed, accepting the offer and settling into a corner by the window. She watched the raindrops race each other down the glass, her mind relaxing in the cozy ambience. As she took her first sip, the door chimed, and a man stepped in, also drenched from the rain. He looked around, clearly searching for an empty spot, but the cafe had quickly filled up. His gaze landed on Ella, and he offered a sheepish smile. "Mind if I join you?" "Looks like the rain didn't give us much choice," he said, gesturing to the full tables around them. Ella hesitated briefly before nodding. "Sure, it's nice to have some company." The man introduced himself as James, and as they began to chat, Ella found herself surprised by how natural their conversation felt. They talked about everything from their favorite coffee to the quirks of the city. The hours slipped away unnoticed, and Ella realized she was laughing more than she had in weeks. Over the next few days, Ella found herself drawn to the cafe on her way to work. She hadn't planned on making it a habit, but somehow her feet led her there each morning, where she would order her coffee, sit by the window, and hope to catch a glimpse of James. And, as though by some unspoken agreement, he was there too, each day. Their friendship blossomed over those shared mornings, filled with laughter, small confessions, and the comforting rhythm of the cafe. They spoke about their dreams, their ambitions, and even their fears. Ella felt a warmth in his presence, a feeling she had almost forgotten. One morning, as they sat by the window, James looked at her with an intensity that made her heart skip a beat. "Ella, there's something I want to ask you," he said, his voice soft. She felt her cheeks warm. "Go on," she replied, barely concealing her own excitement. Would you go out with me? Somewhere other than this cafe?" he asked, a hint of nervousness in his eyes. Ella's smile grew as she nodded. "I'd love that." Their first official date was a simple dinner at a small Italian restaurant, followed by a walk through the city's quiet, rain-soaked streets. They laughed, talked, and held hands as they strolled past the glowing lights, completely lost in each other's presence. From that night on, the cafe became their special place, the beginning of something they both cherished. Years later, as they walked by the cafe on their way to work together, they would share a knowing smile, remembering the rainy day that had brought them together.